Today we're going to talk about how the 2014 Honda Civic Si performs in the snow. And just so everyone knows, this is a front-wheel drive vehicle with a limited slip differential and the stock all-season tires, which are Continental Conti Pro contacts. And overall, we're just going to talk about how it performs, what kind of traction it gets, how the ABS works, the traction control works, and stuff like that. So as you can see, there's a pretty good layer of snow on the road. And right now I'm driving with the traction control on. And as you can see, if I put my foot down a little, it's going to come on and my wheels are going to slip. But it doesn't cut engine power so dramatically that you start to slow down. It just slows it down just enough so that the wheels stop slipping. So it's not like if you have it on, all of a sudden you're going to be stranded and you won't have power. Some traction control systems work like that, and you basically have no power whatsoever when it kicks in, because as far as it knows, the only way to stop the spinning is to cut the power. But in this car, it just cuts it just the right amount that you still keep on accelerating, but you're also not spinning out of control. And I'm sure you could hear that there's still a lot of slush on the road. Yesterday it was all rain, and overnight it froze and turned to snow. And so far we got about 3 inches. We're supposed to get 6 to 9 total. Right there around that turn, if you saw it on camera, it did slip a little, but still felt like I was in control. And same right there, you could see I oversteered just a little bit, but the traction control came in and it helped bring me right back around. And same things with the brakes in this car. The ABS program is very good. I'll show you what it's like right now. And it brought me to a pretty controlled stop. Some ABS programs, they don't allow enough wheel lock, and you don't want the wheel lock because then you lose your steering. But if they never lock, you're not going to stop at all, because they're just going to keep on constantly rotating. And I experienced that at the BMW dealership that I work at. Our lot, it's mostly downhill, and when ABS engages when it's icy, the cars just keep on sliding, and the wheels, they never lock, they just keep on spinning. And spinning is good because, like I said, you can turn, but if you have no traction, you can't turn either. So in those, it just feels like you're never going to stop. But in the Civic, it does feel like you're going to stop. It takes a little bit longer, obviously, because the ABS is basically brakes on, brakes off. But it brings you to a pretty controlled stop that's always nice and straight. And the all-season tires on this car, like I said, they're Continental Conti Pro contacts. I've driven them in up to -9 degree weather, and obviously they get a little bit harder, but they don't get so hard that they're dangerous to drive on like summer tires. Because I've driven on summer tires before in below freezing weather, and they become like driving on hockey pucks. They're terrible. And basically, when you're driving on rock hard tires, you can understeer a lot. If you take a turn too quickly, the car's just going to slide and not get any traction. I'm sure, as you guys saw going up that hill right there, the car had a little bit of trouble, but still maintained its path. And traction control, the light comes on right around there, and as you can see, it really hasn't been coming on all too much. But of course you can turn it off. You just press traction control off for a few seconds and it turns right off. And I've driven this car in the snow a few times, and overall it does a better job than most cars on the road, and of course that's due to tires. The Continental Conti Pro contacts, overall they do a pretty good job. another all-season tire that's used on a lot of cars. They're Goodyear Eagle LS2s. They do an awful job, to be honest. They just slip and slide everywhere. And besides Continental Conti Pro contacts, the new Pirelli Cinturato P7 all-season tires, they're pretty good in the snow. They're stock on most BMWs, VWs, and Audis. They mostly use them, and they're pretty good all-around all-season tire. So I'm just going to drive around a little bit more in the snow, and we'll continue to see how it does. And also for this video, I'm sure if you watched my last snow video, there was sleet and you could probably barely hear me. And that's because I have my GoPro mount to the sunroof, which it is now too, but I got a new mount for the GoPro and a new external microphone, so hopefully you can hear me perfectly fine now. And the only time these tires really struggle is when there's a lot of snow and the car's limited by ground clearance, or when there's such a slight amount of snow where you can still see the pavement through it, because how tires get traction in the snow is they hold the snow in their treads, because snow sticks to snow the best. So by having snow in the tires, it's going to stick to the road. But when there's not enough snow to stick in the tires, they're going to struggle. And the only other time they really struggle is when it's very cold outside and the snow has no moisture in it. It's like a complete powder. Then the tires, they can't grab the snow in the tread because there's no moisture in it, and you can't compact it to stay in there. So it all just flies right back out, and it struggles in traction there. Otherwise, like, this is very wet snow. The temperature, my car says 28, but throughout the day it's been hovering right around 32, 31 degrees. So it's mostly a wetter, heavier snow, and that's easier to compact. And another thing about the SI that makes it excellent in the snow is that you have a manual transmission. So if you need to slow down, you just maintain your distance, and to slow down, you just keep on downshifting, and that way you can use engine braking. Then you don't need to worry about your wheels locking up. And if you just pay attention to things like traffic lights, you could probably make your whole journey without ever having to come to a complete stop. You just need to maintain the proper distance, the proper speed, downshift when necessary, and overall you should be able to make it just fine. And the last time we had a snowstorm, there were a few cars that were off the side of the road, and there were a few that were struggling to make it up hills. But the Civic just went right past them, and that's mostly due to its excellent traction control and the limited slip differential. So right now I see a stop sign. I'm just going to start letting off the gas and use engine braking to help me stop. Downshift a second. And you can see I can reach the stop sign, and I've never touched the brakes at all until I'm almost at a complete stop anyway. If you have any more questions or comments, or would like to see any more videos about this car or any other types of videos, just leave a comment below and I'll try and film them for you or answer your questions.